Connecting to the live stream, Belinda,
Okay.
you know.
Yep.
Okay, we're live.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming to the Prescott BIA Board meeting effective April 11th, 2023. It is currently 5:40. We apologize for being a little start. We had some technology issues. Thank you everyone for coming. And I would like to call us to order. May I please have a mover? Natalie? And a seconder, please. Kevin? Thank you. Next, we would like to move on to the approval of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Any issues or concerns? No? The recommendation is that the agenda be accepted as presented. May I have a mover? Tracy? And a seconder? Natalie, thank you. Next item on our agenda is declarations of interest. Pretty quiet. I would request a mover that we move on to the next agenda item. Natalie, and a seconder. Delegations or presentations, as you can see as via the agenda, we do not have any delegations or presentations this evening, so recommendation is that we move on to the next agenda item. A mover, please. Natalie, seconder. Thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes of the previous meeting? Any issues or concerns? Recommendation that the minutes dated March 13th, 2023 be accepted as presented. A mover, please. Tracy. Seconder. Kevin, thank you. Financial report. I will move that on to our treasurer, please.
Hi, I'm just opening up the ledger to bring that. So just to be in sync, do I present the ledger or do I present the Excel sheet that you've given me with the income statement report?
I would focus on the income statement report, Natasha.
Okay. Sure, no problem. Just a moment. Let me get that on the screen. You know what? My Excel is not working for some reason. It says not authorized.
I can share from
I'm struggling to get it open.
from my
I can open it on my other computer, but I'm not online from there because I have a Microsoft license on that one. Let me open it so I can at least read it.
I should be able to. Are you pulling it up on yours, Justin?
It won't for me.
Okay. Well, we'll go to the meeting package here. See if I can pull it up on mine.
So,
Report.
I didn't see it in the package.
It was
No, we have it.
I now have it up.
Okay.
okay. So, budget $29,000. Current expenses for as of date is $1,326 for the coordinator, which is a budgeted expense. We have the membership fees of $248, and totally we've spent the subtotal of $1,574. We also have some advertising costs of $162, and that's about it. We have a surplus of $1,736 at this point versus budgeted expenses. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Sounds good. We'll go with that. What's the advertising?
That was AGM advertising.
Okay.
And then the membership is just the OBIA yearly membership.
Yeah. Any questions?
No.
Are we okay to pass this, what do I say, income statement report for this meeting?
Recommendation that the financial report be accepted as presented?
Yes.
I'll move that. How's that?
Thank you.
Great.
Second it.
Jody, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is chair updates. As you're aware, this is a new agenda item. I just wanted to make sure that everyone on the entire team, again, I think our real focus is collaboration so that they kind of know what we're working with on other entities, other agencies, which might generate different ideas. So the two that we're currently working on right now, so I was at a meeting, well, a hockey game a couple weeks ago with the accountants at the Kingston firm of MNP. And what we're going to be doing collaboratively is they're going to send one of their managing partners from Kingston and one of their managing partners from Cornwall here at a location to be determined. And we're going to work collaboratively with the Chamber of Commerce, the Bank of Montreal, and Grenville Community Future Development Corporation, GDFDC. And we're going to do sessions specifically for small businesses in terms of accounting best practices and banking best practices. So again, we're just trying to think of concepts or ideas that we can do outside of the box that are actually going to provide value to businesses, small businesses in particular. The second item that we are currently working on is we are working with the South Grenville Chamber of Commerce, the North Grenville Chamber of Commerce, and again, Grenville Community Future Development Corporation. And we identified the fact that Brockville tends to do a number of meetings, both with the different MPs and MPPs, and where our area is not really doing that at this point in time. So we're going to rectify that, and we're looking at setting up some meetings in July or August, depending on what our politicians' schedules look like.
I have a question, sorry.
Yes.
If I may interrupt. The purpose of doing a general accounting best practices initiative, what do you plan to get out of it from a business perspective? Because most small businesses have bookkeepers, or they use QuickBooks, or they use things like that. So how is this going to increase business for us in Prescott?
Well, I think there's definitely a gap. A startup company usually is focused on starting up the company. They may not yet be able to afford an accountant or a bookkeeper. And some things tend to get mixed. They also don't know enough about the financial perspective to be able to determine if their accountant or bookkeeper is actually doing things correctly for them. So it's just having those conversations about, there's legitimately 3 sets of financial statements for every company. Here's what your avenues are. Here's what different facilities can offer.
My question to you is, how many startups do we have in Prescott who will benefit from your initiative? And the other question I have for you is that these startups, what kind of annual revenue are you looking at to target? Are you targeting people who are going to make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year? Are you targeting sole proprietors? What kind of demographics are you targeting as far as the business climate in Prescott goes?
We're not actually targeting any specific business or business model or business size. This is something that we believe adds value to businesses of all sizes. It's a decision of a business owner to determine if they see value in this or not. So it's something that we can offer to them free of cost to have access to accountants that they may not necessarily have access to. It's just another conversation because sometimes from a financial perspective, you don't know what questions that you should or should not be asking. So it's open to every business, leaving the business owner and entrepreneur the opportunity to determine if they see value in it or not.
And if I
So do we have
can
a
just
survey
also chime in, sorry, Nitesh, this is something that has been actively requested by the business community, having these types of programs or workshops available to them. So I think it's something that's certainly based on, past precedents of businesses looking for those type of supports.
Right. So do we have any feedback of past programs? How many people attended? How many startups are there? How are we going to target these people? What is the benefit and value they see? What's the value proposition? I'm not really getting it. Sorry. I'm not getting it because
So perhaps
Yeah.
these are being just, this is not something that the BIA specifically is supporting. So these are questions that we could take up under the parameters of different divisions. I don't know that this is specifically a BIA conversation.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to understand, we are putting in some effort. What is the benefit, net benefit to the business
It's my effort.
community?
So, and I'm
Okay.
acting on behalf of the BIA. We're not coming to ask for funds. We're not coming to ask for participation. It's just important that we're all on the same page and know exactly what we're doing for our community. Yes, Kevin.
So essentially it's information sessions for small businesses. And
Exactly.
It's free
It's
and
free.
it's free information for anybody who wants it.
Free networking event, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sponsored by the individuals who are contributing to it.
Right. Okay.
I think it's great.
Thanks. Okay, that was everything that I wanted to bring up. On to staff updates. If we could go to the BIA coordinator update, please.
Thank you, Linda. I'm going to go through a couple quick updates here. I think I've talked about this one with a few people so far, but Dana and I met with a representative from the Brockville and District Horticultural Society at the end of March. They, their catchment area includes Prescott, but they haven't previously been able to do a lot of work or recruitment in this direction. So they were looking for possible partnership ideas, ways that they could work together with organizations like the BIA. They offered some suggestions such as sponsoring some beautification contests for businesses where they could provide potential memberships. Another avenue we discussed that might be more of a multi-year project is using their expertise to help us do some beautification around the Coast Guard area. We have those beds down there that technically belong to the Coast Guard that they have some planting in, but on a year-to-year basis. We could do something more with them. So their representative was interested in the idea of looking at that. Perhaps the Horticultural Society could do some design work related to that, recommend some native species in the designs of those flower beds, and look at the potential of a partnership with some youth volunteers to get some engagement there. So they were going to discuss that with their board and see where they stood on that at their next meeting. But I think it's whether it's something that large comes to fruition, or just being able to use their expertise and involvement in some business related programming going forward, it could be a very worthwhile partnership and initiative there. So that's sort of standing on waiting to see what their feedback is from those ideas, but it's something that I think would be really beneficial going forward.
Agreed.
Another thing that we discussed with her was possibly something like business sponsor planters that could be done right in front of, different businesses along in the downtown kind of BIA core, really just to bring more beautification, color, and again, make it as easy as possible for businesses to engage in these type of things.
And what they really stressed was the extent, like, they can offer expertise with their volunteer corps at the present time. It is not necessarily in the position to do a lot of hands-on work, but if we can find these sorts of programs like that where they can make suggestions for businesses, and the businesses could say fund that, or the BIA could fund that. So there are a lot of interesting possibilities coming out of that, I think. And their representative that we're speaking to is actually just down the Highway 2 business at Price Point, and Danielle, who is one of his last name is escaping me, is one of our farmers market venues. Danielle's vendors, Danielle's Plants and Upcycle Creations. She's also involved too, and is very interested in sort of getting some partnerships going there. So that's something we'll keep you updated on as that progresses, but hopefully it can turn into something a little exciting down through that area.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're probably familiar with that Coast Guard property, it probably extends over 2 solid town blocks. And that is all their property. And there's a lot of planting beds and, little alcoves and things in there. And we've been talking for a couple of years now, just a multitude of projects that we could bring in there, some of the arts related projects as well for some of those alcove areas, really to beautify them and, make them known to people. Cause I think they just kind of fade into the background because you don't see people utilizing them. And we've put the benches and the bike racks in there and really just trying to draw more interest to those areas. And yeah.
2 questions. First, has there been any conversation with the Coast Guard as to what they're doing?
Initial conversations, at least to see if there would be an appetite, if we had ideas or, things to bring forward, more than open to it. We've had some really good, we've been worked together on the mural fence project this year. So we've developed a good rapport with the Coast Guard, and they are very interested in other projects to work with the community. They really want to be a community partner. So they were very excited about this opportunity and where it might go. And they're really, at most they're going to do essentially not the bare minimum, but they're just not in a position to take on that level, right? They'll come in and they'll do the basic plantings to make it look respectable, but not in a position to elevate it to the place that I think that we all really like it to go.
Second question to that, do you know if the society has spoken with the high school at all in regards to volunteers or help?
That's someone that they were going to speak to. We had a number of suggestions for, looking for youth, or they want a younger membership as well.
Yeah.
Sort of start trying to get some younger people involved in, I don't know that you just call it gardening.
It starts out as gardening.
Yeah.
But and it was, that was the area that we identified was the real gap, right? They have the expertise.
Yeah.
The businesses don't necessarily have the manpower either. So we recognize that, and could we maybe approach, high school students, different organizations along those lines that may have some volunteers that are looking. And she did say there's about, what was it? I think almost 30 or so members that are within the Prescott area that are looking for more Prescott oriented projects. It's at the point where they're not engaged as much because they don't feel there's anything to engage in here in Prescott. And they're kind of tired of constantly putting their efforts into Brockville when they'd like to see something happen in their own backyard. So,
sorry guys, I just have a question. Would it be possible for us to perhaps use some of that space gardening for a community garden, and then be able to use some of the fresh produce from there for other initiatives? I've heard of initiatives of groups in different areas making a salsa, and they put all the ingredients from this garden together and they make salsa, and then they sell the salsa. I know that's kind of a pipe dream, but I'm just wondering, because a lot of the time, if you cast a vision that's kind of further than just gardening, because gardening for me is yay, gardening, I get to pick weeds, right? But if you're doing 6 months from now or 3 months from now, whenever harvest is, we'll have this much stuff, and what are we going to do with it? And then if we have an idea of what we can do with what we actually produce, then that to me, and if it feeds something into community a little bit more, then to me, it would draw more people to be volunteers. Because it's a little bit more long-term then, right? And then, because we've thought of doing that. Yeah, we've thought of doing that at the cafe, and the teenagers need volunteer hours. There's TR Leger. And they might actually come with the supervisor then, right? And there's different group homes around the area as well, that as long as they're kind of supervised, it'd be great to have kind of multi-generational, multi-layered groups of people going in and helping and teaching. So
Justin and Dana are actually looking into where we would be able to look at community gardens specifically for those kind of concepts or initiatives. So exactly, bringing in high school students, doing fresh fruits and vegetables, looking at the food bank or your organization, or where can we redistribute this, And that way too, their volunteers have an opportunity to help teach younger generations in terms, and it might, one week might be an herb week, another week might be vegetables, another week might be beautification. And strategically picking places where we can add that beautification to the downtown core, which is aligning with the marina, with the promenade. So definitely 100%.
And that could be something community service and recreation may want to get involved with as well, like have it be a multi-department initiative, because they're also really looking for more volunteers and to find a new path for that community garden, because that is another area that has really just not reached its full potential, and they struggled, and ideas like that could be a great initiative to develop a byproduct out of that, and then maybe proceeds from sales could go back to community initiatives, right? Food bank, things like that. But yeah, maybe that's a conversation that we could bring Samantha Schwada Miller in on too.
Who oversees the current garden?
Community services.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just
So that department kind of is tasked with being responsible for that space. And I know they're looking at some creative new ideas for that area. Yeah, so it was a really great meeting. Like there were so many different ideas that just came out of that. So yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of things that could come out of that. So even start, brainstorming, like Joanna, keep those ideas on the back burner, and yeah, business projects that we could engage with the Coast Guard.
Any other questions?
Do you have any other questions on that portion?
Are any of the groups, do they have connections for the plants themselves and stuff? Like, are they able to, then those gardening clubs, do they have ones in the spring that they separate
Yeah.
because that would be another good bonus of this as well, is it? We can kind of get in on that, right, too?
And they have bulk
Cost
buying
down
power
to
too.
encourage, I guess, the Coast Guards to be,
Yeah.
to want to join in, yeah.
For sure. And that's one of the big benefits of their membership, is then you're in this almost like this buying group where you can
Okay.
acquire plants at a much reduced rate. So having that alliance with the Horticultural Society could provide that source for materials, expertise, and then we've got to find the manpower. But hey.
Well, once all that's in place, I think probably the people will be able to find the people if it's all right there.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I love flowers. I like the stuff so far. The planters last year were great. If we can expand on it, I think it's good.
And they're coming back too. Like we'll still be doing our regular planters. There's no change to that. This would be an add-on above and beyond the regular things that are already done.
Did they come up with something better than the blocks underneath them?
I think they are reworking those. We could certainly provide an update on what the status is of those planters for the next meeting. Those longer repurposed benches that were turned into planters. Yeah, we could certainly provide an update. I think they were working on some new design concepts. So we'll keep you posted, basically.
All right, so on to the next update, the strategic planning session. So we did receive confirmation at the end of last week that we're registered for the strategic planning session. The dates are the 13th, 27th, 11th, and 25th. They're scheduled for an hour and a half each session. I wonder if the last two might be a little bit longer because they're including a couple stages in each, but they're scheduled for 10 to 11:30 on those days. So it's via Zoom. We have the Zoom link. I think there would be benefit to sort of doing it as a group if that's possible, so that people that want to attend can attend if possible in a group setting. We can use either the Ruth Evanson room, we can use the Ruth Evanson room here at Town Hall if people wanted to get together here to do that.
And it does seem like that is a pretty critical aspect, is having that core group together to actually engage in the sessions. There's some actual group work. You're meant to be actually producing things coming out of these.
Well, group work and they do say there will be homework.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. So that could carry forward, yeah.
Having the group together and being able to discuss things as they come and maybe at the end, have a little discussion about that day's session would be beneficial too.
So will you send just a calendar invite?
I'll send it, if that's what, yeah, if we want to do the in-person here, I can send it a calendar invite, and really, their minimum is 3 active board members to attend, but you can attend if you're available and you want to during those periods. It'll be here, so I'll send a calendar invite for those out to everyone.
Unless
Excellent.
anyone has objections to us hosting here at Town Hall.
No, I think that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll continue going. Just wanted to give everyone a little bit of an overview on Digital Main Street. It comes up. We talk about it. We talk about the impact of it, but I know there are some new board members who might not be familiar. So we started a Digital Main Street program delivering it in Prescott, in South Grenville, actually, in the fall of 2020. I was the first Digital Main Street coordinator for South Grenville. Over that time, we've served over 100 businesses in Prescott, Edwardsburg, Cardinal, and Augusta Township through the multiple Digital Main Street programs. Unfortunately, Nicole's not here tonight because she is an excellent. Oh, actually, Charity, you took all of them.
Yeah, I'm in round 2. My second time.
Into the grant again. So businesses could utilize multiple programs. Originally, there was one called Future Proof, which was a consulting type program that did branding work in addition to digital work. But now there are 3 primary program streams. The first, Charity mentioned, is the Digital Transformation Grant. So businesses can receive $2,500 to assist with digital work. So that can be marketing, it can be bringing in new technology. It could be hiring consultants to work with on their own digital marketing, building e-commerce capacity, really anything that could broadly be called digital. That money can be applied to it. It's a fairly straightforward process. Going around the table, I can count 3 previous recipients here tonight. You can go through, it helps you come up with ideas as to how you can apply these concepts to your business. We've had $62,500 in direct grant funding to businesses in the BIA over the course of the program. We're on DTG 4.0. That's the 4th round of the Digital Transformation Grant. It is now open, and essentially everyone who has yet to receive 2 grants from Digital Main Street is eligible to apply again. So we are really pushing businesses to take advantage because this may be the last window of the grants. The 4.0 might be the last one. So trying to get as many businesses as possible through that application process now. Over the entirety of South Grenville, there has been over $100,000 has gone directly into businesses through the grants, through Digital Main Street. The second program is the Shop Here program, which helps businesses build a basic initial e-commerce site. You use that as well, correct? Did you do Shop Here?
No, I did the other
Future Proof.
Future Proof, yeah, and the grant twice, yeah, but not this one. I don't.
The Shop Here does like a basic e-commerce website for businesses, can build your first sort of site so you can get online and start selling through digital channels. It really ramped up during COVID, trying to move businesses so they'd have that second stream of revenue, but it also is home-based businesses are eligible, so it gave us a lot more impact with the program prior to the grant being more broadly available. Home-based businesses still aren't eligible for the grant, but a broader section of businesses are. And through Shop Here, you get assigned a coordinator who works with you to actually build the website with you. So hopefully when you conclude that, you're able to run the website going forward. So rather than just having a website handed to you through Shop Here, you end up with at least some capacity to keep that website going. And we saw a lot of especially home-based businesses access this. A lot of farmers market vendors got first websites through this and started selling online. But a lot of brick and mortar businesses did as well. Katarina's, I know their first e-commerce website was through Shop Here. So it's been a very valuable program that is still ongoing. And then we're also able to offer one-on-one support, digital marketing, branding, operational support directly to businesses through the Digital Main Street program as well with funding we received. So that's allowed us to work directly with a number of businesses, really try to help move beyond perhaps just basic Facebook marketing. So the businesses are trying to develop brands and more consistent marketing through those online digital channels.
Our webinars and things would be covered under that as well, right?
Yes, so we also have a webinar series. You can find those actually still on the Invest Prescott website. They're all archived on there, but we did a number of webinars. We'll continue to that focus on more specific topics. We've done Facebook for Business. We've done Branding 101, Instagram for Business, some online sales strategies. Focusing in not just on sort of the technical details, but on how you use those things to sort of make a cohesive brand that runs through your entire business.
The Shop Here program you mentioned for home-based businesses. So when passing that information on to people, is there like an area that they have to be their home within? Because I know for the digital, we have to be in the BIA area. So like if someone was asking and you were sharing the information.
So for Shop Here, basically they just have to be located in Ontario and they have to have a business license. So they have to have gotten
Registered, yeah.
They're registered as a business. But those are the only two parameters there. There are parameters, upward parameters. I believe you can't have more than 10 employees and apply for Shop Here unless you're a restaurant.
Yeah.
But as long as they're in Ontario and are a registered business, they're eligible for Shop Here.
And the one-on-one support, is that for home-based businesses as well? Okay.
So, and then home-based businesses, farmers market vendors can go through both of those programs. And the transformation grant, so the first round, the 2.0 round, it was very restrictive. So it was the BIA businesses and some small pockets in the two other municipalities, as well as a small pocket in the north end that were eligible. They've really opened up those requirements now as well. So it's any commercial business, commercially zoned property business operating in there that can receive customers and is not a chain can receive the digital transformation grant now. So it's essentially every small business that accepts visitors, can accept customers, can actually sell something out of their location is now eligible for that grant.
Went through a lot of early, I guess, adaptations of the program where it was, as Justin alluded to, it was very restricted. And initially, like that was fine for Prescott, but when it came to our other partners, it was limited to businesses within that traditional Main Street core. So you look to Augusta and Edwardsburg, and aside from, Spencerville or Cardinal, there's other businesses that, would certainly be warranted to be served. And this has really just opened up the opportunities for everyone. And it's amazing to see the uptake that we've had through that program and just the ongoing interest, and good to see the government support. And that is essentially, that's what our digital Main Street coordinator is in place to coordinate that program. And we have the funding until the end of March 2024. Yeah, so, and we would anticipate to see it will probably be expanded again, refunded, maybe under, a new shape or form. Maybe you'll see a new program come out because they do, they're monitoring it regularly and they want to ensure that the funds that they've allocated are being, delivered and making the most impact with businesses in Ontario. So, but it's been a wonderful program to date. And yeah, I don't know where we would be without it, especially during COVID.
The timing was so perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not a coincidence,
No.
really,
No.
obviously, but as saying that as a small business who did receive the service, and I am not tech savvy, especially that other program, I was kind of sad to see it go because they really did the work for you. And that
future
was
group
like,
was great.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
so great, because as much as I'd love to know it and be able to do it, like honestly, to take the time as a single operator who literally works with your hands, you can only be doing so much with them at
That's
a
right.
time. And like they did it.
Yeah.
They just did it and presented it. And you're like, love it, move it forward. It was so good. It was so good. These are good too, but it was so good.
Katarina's was another big recipient of that, and actually,
That's how
she was
I
the
knew
pilot.
to get in on it, was Nicole. She's
Yeah.
like, you gotta like listen to this.
I think, and
was
she
great.
was one of 5, I think, businesses in Ontario that was originally selected to go through the program as a bit of a pilot, and then they rolled it out to other businesses. But that was an amazing program. Like, you had this team of university educated students from every possible background, whether it be marketing, finance, brand, the whole spectrum. And they came in and did a full review of your business and basically developed a business plan
And left you with a lot of materials to work
that
with.
you could implement, like it was actionable. Yeah. So yeah, Katarina, I know Nicole still uses that on a regular basis. Yeah, and it was just a wonderful. So we were really disappointed to see them do away with that program, because that, I would say, probably had way more impact than what that $2,500 grant could ever begin to.
Because it, like you said, the team was already put together of those experts that could just deal with all these diverse businesses. Whereas an inexperienced person, speaking for myself, going out searching for those people, it's easy to get misguided and think you've got the right mix. And then you're like, oh, shoot, that's not actually what I was after. You know? So yeah, it was very valuable, but you learn as you go. And luckily there's more than one round. So
Yes.
There's also a program called the Canada Digital Adaptation Program.
Yes.
You can access that directly, and I think it's $2,400 to $15,000.
It's very similar to the Digital Main Street.
So it's running through multiple different organizations through the Digital Main Street site. You can also apply for the $2,400 grant. It's slightly different in that it has to go to e-commerce costs. So it has to go to web development costs, platform costs directly for e-commerce related activities. But someone could receive both of those grants too. They could receive up to $4,900 through that. And there's a larger loan program, grant and loan program through that CDAP that requires
There's also, if you go to Shopify website for e-commerce and for your web development and for your logo development, Shopify has great tools online. Everything is free. You can even access their logo generation utilities and tools free. You can go and set up your business as an online business if you have an online component like ship and serve type of program. For example, if you ship wedding cakes to wherever, somewhere remote, you can go and set that up with Shopify at no cost, and you could claim credits from the, from this digital grants program. And I know a lot of people in Ottawa, small businesses who have used it, and they've got fantastic counseling, all free, like a whole bunch of professionals who do this for a living.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful program for us, and a lot of our businesses have been able to take advantage of that, and the vendors that they provide as well. And I don't know if you'll notice in our newsletters, we are promoting both of those grant options, just to make sure that businesses get the full value, because to Nitesh's point, the CDAP can definitely, they dovetail nicely together if you're really focused on that e-commerce side of things. So.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, may I suggest maybe that we put those links right on our website? for all?
I think,
Three?
are they on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they under, what would they be under, just so
So
everybody
they
knows?
are under the business resources
Okay,
on the Invest Prescott site.
okay,
And then there would be a link through the, I believe there's a link through the BIA page on there too, to the resources
Yeah.
page.
okay.
As well as the social, you'll see the Digital Main Street social media page links back to the website as well. So you can find it through there too.
Okay, so that's really good that all of the businesses know to look at the website too and look under resources. Okay, that's awesome.
investprescott.ca. That's the main landing page where everyone should, that's where you'll find most of our business, well, all of our business resources. And I will say, it can be, the cross functionality of our websites is, there's some limitations there. So if you're searching on the main website, you may not always find the content that's hosted on our Investor Explore sites. So definitely go straight to those websites if you're looking for content. We're working on addressing some of those functionality issues, but at least in the meantime, I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on content. So always, and if you're sharing that, always push people towards the Invest or Explore Prescott.ca sites. They'll get back to the main town site through there.
They'll find their way.
That's right.
Any other questions?
Do we have a proposal? I mean, as us, I don't know who would be in charge or how would we do it. A make or manufacture in Prescott type of icon on our prescott.ca website, just to generate interest. You know, somebody might say, hey, you know, make in Prescott, let's find out more. So do we have some path for that? For example, like I'm talking to 3-4 people to build a brewery, right? I'm thinking of repurposing my property to have a distillation facility there, just to make white spirit, basically, not beer, not just white spirits. And a lot of other townships, I won't take names, they have tremendous pull for anything to do with job employment creation or type of manufacturing. So are we thinking of doing something like this for the city of Prescott? I don't know if it's a question to the BIA, or maybe the BIA can take it to the concerned authorities to have a make or manufacture in Prescott type of promotion, just to bring more business into Prescott. Like,
I love that idea, and I've seen that done in Bay of Quinte area is a prime example of that. So it was an initiative that was led by the Bay of Quinte Economic Development Commission. And that is essentially a conglomeration of communities, including Belleville, Trenton, and then Prince Edward County is involved in that as well.
Prince Edward County is very good. Like Port Hope,
Yeah.
I've been talking with the Port Hope authorities, and they are willing to share the cost of development like 50-50 with me. And we flew down a few experts from Kentucky who are specialized in, basically we need river water. So the St. Lawrence River is close by. I know there is a permit that if you use water, you can and put back the water, there is no economic impact or environmental impact. So we have an impact study going on right now. So I don't see anything happening in Prescott. Prescott is close to Ottawa. I mean, Port Hope is like in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, okay, it's closer to Toronto, but we could be anywhere. So that kind of thing, I think we should quickly start doing, because there's a lot of small little entrepreneurs that I meet. And recently I was with the Indian Business Association here in Ottawa, which is about 10-15,000 members. Most of the big businesses here are run by the Indian business community. Actually, I just wanted to show you, they're bringing products like this now into the foray. So probably next issue, Shobha and I will be featured too. And they're talking about how manufacturing here, how can municipalities and townships help? So something like this, next time I come there, I'll probably drop a few copies off. We are trying to build that ecosystem of collaborative entrepreneurship where if I'm making something and somebody else makes something that kind of complements my investment, then we co-share the property investment cost, for example, So I think we need to start thinking like that to bring in, we don't want the 10, 20% growth. We want the 200 to 2,000, 5,000% growth. If you're going to look at 10, 20% growth, we'll be forgotten by the time we reach there. If we aim for a 2,000 or a 10,000% growth in terms of business revenue or business opportunity, we might get, to 100%, which is great, right? So,
and I think that this concept is amazing, but I honestly think it's really something that ECDev.
And yeah, like I would say
As
it's
opposed
certainly
to a
more of
BIA.
an ECDev focus, but I would say, do know that we're working collaboratively with, and where I was also going with it is those type of initiatives do tend to be more county driven because municipalities like Prescott just don't necessarily have the capacity or the resources to get those off the ground. But it's something that we're certainly looking at exploring with the St. Lawrence.
Maybe we can suggest to the concerned authorities, and then they can take it up, and some of us can go and help in giving a speech or talking about what the opportunities are, what the newer opportunities are coming, because these are non-traditional opportunities.
And I think that's a very important conversation, but I don't know that that's a conversation for the BIA.
But I certainly take those suggestions to heart, Nitesh, and I'd love to chat with you more about what economic development is doing offline, because we are engaging in a lot of those things that you're suggesting right there.
Sure. Okay. I just thought I'll bring it up, something that maybe BIA can influence.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that taking pride in place is something that the BIA can certainly do in their own, actions, things that this organization can do. And then we can support that through our actions for economic development.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed.
I'm going to turn it over to Dana here and.
Oh, yes. So.
Business development.
Okay, so lots of exciting, I'm going to try and start doing this on a regular basis every month. We're just going to take you through a list of basically updates, things that have happened in the past month, or things that are pending. So because this is the first time we've done this, there is a very long list. So we have just kind of a review of what's happened in the past month. We had some really fantastic business openings. We celebrated the 40th anniversary of Dragon Garden Restaurant, the 10th anniversary of Nick's, Kriska Transportation. We just celebrated their 45th anniversary yesterday, and there will be a big celebration coming this summer that will be open to members of the public. Fat Less is on the Green. We just celebrated their grand opening last week. That's the new restaurant at the golf club. It looks like they had a very successful first weekend. King Edward Auto Parts has celebrated their 32nd anniversary this month. So we awarded them with a certificate. And then we had a couple grand openings that preceded the other previous board meeting, which was FYI Doctors and Curls and Cuts Hair Shop. And then taking you into upcoming business developments, we are planning a grand opening for Subway Restaurant, which has officially opened. They've got their soft opening right now. So they have opened. Definitely encourage you to try them. And we will be planning a special grand opening for them in the very near future once they work some of those initial kinks out. And then we have Prescott Service and Auto Sales. They'll be celebrating their 36th anniversary in May. So we'll be presenting them with a certificate. We're just developing a new program as well right now for that. And, kind of establishing some parameters, increments, opportunities for businesses to reach out and notify the town that they've got an upcoming event so we don't miss anything happening. And then, of course, we have River Home & Co. that is working towards their grand opening in the near future. And Best of Farmers Market, that's a new operation happening at the former Salvation Thrift Store, which is going to be like a multi-vendor market. Really sounds really exciting. I've had a few discussions with the owner. Sounds like a really neat concept that could potentially provide some new vendor options for our farmers market as well. And Chuck's Roadhouse, that is confirmed, coming to the former Circle K, 297 King Street West. They are just working through some franchise and property redevelopment matters. So that'll be a few months out, but it is confirmed to be coming. Laurel and Lace Flowers is replacing Cardinal Flowers. They're still working towards opening, hopefully for the beginning of May. Renegades Bar and Grill, which is the former JD Pond and Piccolo Cafe. They're scheduled to open hopefully by May or June. The Vault Takeout and Lounge, that's on the corner of Center and King Street, one of our BIA member-owned businesses. He's working diligently towards opening, hopefully again, probably May or June. A lot of things are going to be happening right at the beginning of the summer. And Elder Bost is going through an expansion. So they have taken over pretty much the entire building except for one unit at their existing location. And they're going to be expanding into a full sit-down dine-in restaurant.
Oh,
So
amazing.
pretty excited about that. That's going to be a great new addition in the Uptown Business District. And then we have a Lost and Found Community Outreach Center, which is opening in the former Hemp Heaven. That is Kevin Hutt, owner operator, again, looking towards possibly even this week. He's just working through final building permit things right now. And then we have Blacks Creek Innovations, which is our newest development on Development Drive. Their grand opening is May 6th. So I would definitely encourage any members that are available to come out to that. And then we have the Prescott Deli, which is co-located with the Prescott Smoke Shop on Park Street. And they'll be celebrating an official grand opening. They've had a soft opening back in the fall. Again, wanted to kind of work some of those kinks out, and we'll be doing the official ribbon cutting for them this Thursday. So I also just made a note there. We do try to notify the BIA members when there's things like this happening. Traditionally, it's been more in the downtown area, but we'll start to make sure that we notify the board about any business events happening throughout town, both uptown and downtown, just as a way to, try and bring some more collaboration happening there, especially with other organizations like the Chamber, for example, which represents the entirety of Prescott and South Grenville. So really just trying to, be a little bit more collaborative on what we're doing. So you'll be getting many invites in the near future. But yeah, that's just
Dana,
story of what's happening. Yeah.
I just have a question. Is it possible for you to give us some sort of an outline or something of all the businesses and potential businesses that are opening? Just because on a day-to-day basis, when you're downtown and you're talking to regulars like in cafes, just the discouragement that can come with not seeing open businesses. I would love to be able to have like a list, not that is public necessarily, but something that I know
just for
I can.
Certainly.
Yeah,
And
just for chatter, right?
Yeah.
To create a level of excitement for people, just because everybody's like boo boo, and I'd love to go no. So even if you could just send a short list to each one of us would be lovely, because then it would just create conversation.
For sure. And we'll add addresses. We didn't get the time to do it, but we'll add addresses to these. And we'll also know on that list any properties that are currently under renovation. Just so you could, because that's the one that comes up a lot. Is people say, these vacant properties, right? Well, a lot of times you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and there's a lot of activity happening and things pending that the public just doesn't know about. So, and again, that really goes back to your role as the BIA, is to be that ambassador, right, for the downtown, because you will encounter a lot of positivity, but a lot of negativity too. And sometimes a little communication and information goes a long way. So yeah, just helping us, drive that message home that there are things happening in the downtown, despite, what you may not see behind closed doors. And so that,
It's funny because I don't mind gossip, but I'd like for it to be positive gossip because people are going to talk, right? Yeah. People are going to talk. So why not spin it in a good way? So that's what I was hoping for. Thanks.
And have conversations based on facts, which I personally...
I'm pretty sure I've updated Johanna a number of times on things going on, but no, it's great how you can turn what a negative viewpoint positive because of what everybody can know.
Yeah.
And once you explain to somebody just what's going on, it's amazing how their point of view changes.
Yes. Information is power, and it really can turn the
And
tide.
and tourists, like when you're able to tell a tourist all these new things that are going to be happening, they're going to come back, right? So.
Yeah. So the more we can equip you, absolutely. I love that. We'll send this after the meeting and start doing that on a regular basis, post meeting, kind of send those up.
If the listed restaurants and, tourist attractions of Ottawa are in a nice format, I'm a member of many Facebook groups. So I can take that document and post it in all these groups. And people are always wanting to get away on a quick drive, come and have a picnic at the waterfront or whatever, come there. Then you spend little money on this or that, walk around the farmers market. So I'm a member of a lot of Facebook, groups and Indians in Ottawa. I'm a member of the French Canadian group here. I'm a member of the entrepreneur business group. So I'll just post, if it's in a nice format that's attractive to read, then we can post it in all our collective groups. That itself will be a massive, massive social media pull, no cost kind of leverage.
For sure. No, and we'll be sure to start including members in those notifications about materials going out and just sending you copies of digital materials. So you've got them as well to be able to share in your own circles. Yeah, great suggestion.
On the note of sharing facts, what is Blacks Creek Innovations?
So they are,
I don't know that
so
one.
they make wood processing equipment.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sell and manufacture wood processing equipment. So everything from tree splitters to mulch grinders, anyone who's working within, they're actually based in Kempville right now, and they're expanding their operation and relocating to Prescott as part of that expansion. So, yeah. No,
They're up by the OPP.
yeah, just on Development Drive. And their business actually was formed out of the 98 ice storm. That's where their business idea and concept first came to, was all the people having to deal with these trees and not having, that they kind of pivoted their other operation into wood processing equipment so they could help deal with the cleanup and the aftermath. And that's really what started.
And last week probably just helped.
Yeah. I'm sure they are quite busy right now.
And the demand continues.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, so another one of the first of a few exciting developments that you'll see happening out on Development Drive in the next few years. So
Excellent.
we'll be sure to send that update after the meeting. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so we will move on to item 9 on our agenda items. So process review, meetings and information.
So we just wanted to do a quick little review of how the process related to the meetings, ideas, how information gets conveyed through these. As a little quick overview again, how we end up with those items on the agenda.
And how you as members can get items tabled or brought forth, right? Just trying to provide you with greater direction on how to bring new ideas forth and get, make sure that we're giving ideas proper attention and opportunity for discussion, right? Because I know we discussed this afterwards, I think, and we don't want the group to feel like it's over formalized, right? And that you're coming out of these meetings and you're like, really, this is it? There's no opportunity to just have some candid discussion or bring ideas forth. And this is just kind of meant to give you direction on how we do that, and also to advise on some of those formal processes that we can't ignore, right?
So the primary means, we have it on every agenda for bringing those new items forward, would be that new business section at the conclusion of the agenda. So we have that open spot at the end of the agenda for new business from members. If there's something you're thinking about that's 2 or 3 months down the line, an idea you had, that's where sort of ideally it would come up. So then it can start moving through the process, working its way through the meeting process. You also see those ideas, they're coming up through the committees. So we have those two standing committees, the placemaking and the marketing committees. So there's going to be a brainstorming element in those committee meetings as well, in addition to those new business items will sometimes be sent to those committees to discuss further, but new ideas will come out of there as well. But that's also not to say that those are the only places where things end up on the agenda. So issues come up between meetings. You might hear about something, you might see something, there might be an opportunity. Ideally, those would be conveyed to Belinda and sort of work onto the agenda in a sort of expedited fashion there if it's something that has to come up. And then those items may also come, they might be staff or town items. So things, tonight, the Horticultural Society sort of fit into that, as well as a couple of the other things we're going to look at. But they may be things that are developed through economic development, other town initiatives that the BIA can partner on. So they'll go up to the agenda. Once we have those new items, those new ideas, ideally, again, if they come up through new business, then that gives us an opportunity to both have that committee work where the committee can look at it, and then gives us an opportunity to do some research and preparation on the idea from a staff perspective and to see how that's going to fit in there. And then the conclusion of that is that we end up with those decision items through one of those meetings on the agenda that we can look at allocating funds or giving approval to or endorsement of through the BIA agenda. The main thing, I guess, as Dana said, that there is an informal aspect to this and wanting to make sure there's still that free flow of ideas while maintaining that it's best to make those decisions when we have all the information we can have, when the board has all the information it can have, and not having sort of a decision come up that people haven't had the opportunity to spend some time with before we get there.
Yeah, to that end, putting members in a position where you're feeling pressured, for lack of a better word, to decide on an item because it got tabled that night and it's this great, exciting new idea and we're all, trying to chase this unicorn, whatever it may be. But a lot of times, a little staff research can really help with that decision-making process, right? And it's just that process to get those items tabled and properly researched and still allow us enough time to meet whatever deadline is out there for that opportunity that we're trying to pursue.
Agreed. We want to make sure that it's a very open environment so that every voice is heard, every idea is considered, but it's considered in an efficient manner and it's well researched, because we can't make decisions to allocate what is effectively taxpayers' money with the fiduciary responsibilities that we have if we're not providing our business partners with the time needed to do the appropriate research. So in this way too, I think everyone knows what the process is, everyone knows their voice is going to be heard, and we can be as efficient as possible at these meetings where we do have to make those informed decisions.
I also had one suggestion was, which I had recommended on the first meeting, was we need to have a doctrine of measure what we serve. So if we do an activity, there must be a way of measuring its success for future improvement of that activity. So can we have that somewhere? So let's say we do activity A. What is the feedback? How do we measure it? What's the success behind it? Has it actually helped businesses? So, an activity could be an entertainment activity, but did the businesses actually generate revenue from that activity? You know what I mean?
So that concept, exactly, this is exactly what we're talking about. So that concept would be something that would be tabled under new business from members as a concept. And then we would determine which subcommittee it would align under, so that that subcommittee can do the brainstorming. Our business partners can do the research required because there's a lot of ideas there, but there's a lot of processes that would have to be built into it as well. So that's exactly what we're talking about. That concept would be brought up under new business from members, and then we would reallocate it to a subcommittee.
Why don't we also create a form that we can give all the small businesses in the BIA area? And at the
Again,
end of
that would be a concept under new business from members.
new business for members.
So if
so
you
what's-
take a look at your
so
agenda,
That part of the agenda, Nitash, what Belinda's saying is just reserve some of these comments that you're making right now and bring them up under new business.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So, and the other item, as
My
you have
apologies.
these ideas, you can send me an email if you want to, and then we can add that as an idea to the new business from members, or we can kind of figure out how do we get that quicker to a subcommittee?
Yeah.
Or we can just have a discussion page where everybody puts their ideas. It's all in one place. So instead of having 20 emails, everybody looking. And then we take a snapshot of that, incorporate it, and have a meeting and finalize it. Like
Well,
an
I think
online
if the
bulletin board.
concepts come either
Through new business. Or through those committees, then that's how we'll be tracking.
that's how we'll
that.
be tracking it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Tracy.
No, I was just going to say too, even in the strategic planning webinars that you do, they will also give you a lot of great tools for measuring results.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, so that'll definitely come up in that planning, in the planning webinars.
Yeah, because that will be a critical part. And, for our own the economic development department, we have our strategic plan. That is our guiding document. Everything we do gets measured against that document. And, are we driving forward, reaching those goals that have been identified? And, are those actions that we're implementing helping to achieve those? So yeah, to Tracy's point, a lot of that will come out of that strategic planning session, so that any ideas that this group is coming up with also has, that performance measure attached to it. So you're, confirming that we're focusing our energies in the right place and we're getting the most out of this program, and in looking at it and finding ways that we can maybe amend it and, create more impact out of what we're doing. So no, that's a very good point. The strategic plan will be a great exercise for that.
Well,
And help keep us focused too, because that is the other thing too, that everyone's got ideas. And I think that's the biggest piece to that strat plan is, and for us as well in the ECDev strat plan, is there are countless directions and there's no lack of ideas when it comes to economic development or tourism or downtown development. And that's where that strat plan will help keep us focused and determine, okay, these are the big priorities and these are the things that at the end of the day are going to achieve the long-term results, right? So I think, I am looking forward to that.
Is it possible, guys, for you to give us like a flow chart of how that looks then? Like, because even if my friend here online would like to ask if we can make some changes to the way that we do that, and just have like an ideas page, like he was saying, then there is a format to even him suggesting that, right? And so for him to be able to bring that to the group. So if you guys can just give us, for me and him are both ideas people, obviously. And so if you give me a visual of what the process for that looks like for us, then we can follow process a lot easier. And then we can just write stuff down and then send it on to the appropriate people at the time. If it's okay, if you just write down that process for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. No, we can create like a visual kind of flow chart, summarizing basically what we've discussed tonight and what those avenues are for bringing those ideas forward. Absolutely.
Basically, a quantitative assessment over and above a qualitative assessment is what we are looking for, which will kind of help everybody feed an idea that goes through that process and comes out into either it becomes a reality, kind of actually gets implemented,
Yep. And using those same standards across everything that we do too. And I think that'll come out of that strat planning too, as well. And what are those things that we are measuring? What does success look like for this group?
Exactly. What's the meaning of success? Did everybody have a good time? a lot to drink and party and eat, but made no money? Or is it everybody made money but didn't have a great time? Like, I don't know how we're going to qualify that, but that's the kind of direction I'm looking at.
Yep. For sure. No, we can prepare that by the next meeting.
Guys, I just have to leave in like 5 minutes, so I apologize for having to skip out early.
For sure.
Thanks. Okay, social media review.
Social media review. So I thought we would take everyone through the social media channels that we use. So they're overlapping as well with those websites that I've come up a couple times already tonight. So everyone just has an idea of what these channels are and what we use them for. So we have a Prescott BIA social media channel. So that's through Facebook and Instagram that focus on downtown specific marketing and promotions. So we use that to highlight events and activities, including business events downtown, and try to develop that downtown Prescott and Riverwalk district brand as a distinct space that's place-based and sort of destination-oriented. So more as like the downtown as a destination than anything else. We have the Explore Prescott pages, which includes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our Explore Prescott website, which is the Town of Prescott tourism promotion vehicle. So that highlights tourism-specific events, activations, businesses, activities that will draw people to Prescott. So this is more externally focused, although obviously we have a great deal of local following as well with that, people coming locally to events. But the idea with that Explore Prescott marketing is what are the reasons why you would come to Prescott to visit, to spend a day. And then we have the Invest Prescott brand, which is more focused on directly at business and at investment attractions. So that's where we highlight specific businesses. We highlight the reasons why you would want to do business in Prescott. So through Facebook, Instagram, and the website, that is where we distribute the more economic development information. So I'll take you through some examples of what type of content goes up on these different pages. Through the BIA page, again, we're trying to highlight the specific reasons why you would come downtown. Now, it's more locally focused than, say, the Explore pages, but we're also trying to draw from a broader region with that as well. So you can see that was one of the contests last year, the Spring into the Riverwalk contest, which is a little bit of a, almost like a scavenger hunt downtown to win some prizes, get some people into the area. Here is where we highlighted an external post that was looking at motorcycle tourism traveling along Highway 2 that highlighted a couple spots in Prescott. And here is one where we're highlighting a business that's coming soon, River Home, and their plans to open downtown. So that's sort of the kind of thing that we highlight through that BIA page. Through the Explore page, that is more focused on those events and activities that might bring you more holistically to town to visit. So some of the nice aesthetics, like from last fall, the leaves turning around downtown, specific business marketing to sort of draw people in to town, to those businesses. So that's from our summer passport program last year. And promotion of specific events and activations. So when the promenade is happening and in the lead up to that, I have a number of posts drawing people towards those activities. And then the Invest page, as I mentioned, is more business and business information focused. So there's posts just from yesterday from the Kriska 45th anniversary visit, as well as some of the posts that highlight the specific business programs and investment success in Prescott. So through those three channels, we have around 5,000 followers. The yearly reach is around 115,000 individuals, and about 5 to 7% of that comes from paid posts. So that is when we boost posts. Generally, in the lead up to a specific event, we will boost posts for specific activations like the Prescott pop-ups. Right now, ran some boosted posts to draw some attention to those, and for specific undertakings. So we don't use those boosted posts necessarily constantly, because they do have a higher visibility, but we also see a higher engagement and impact when we're able to use sort of viral networks with leveraging other people sharing the networks. And on top of that as well, we can also utilize the Town of Prescott's Facebook and Instagram page. We post through those as well, where there is another 5,000 followers there and 100,000 reach every year. So I want to sort of highlight some of the viral reach that we can get with these non-boosted posts. This was highlighting Katarina's Coffee Shop winning one of the Ontario by Bike Friendly Business Awards for Eastern Ontario. They were named the best bike friendly business in Southeastern Ontario, and can sort of step beyond our own follower count by leveraging those other people's networks. So when people share those, when there's a post that's impactful that people want to share and highlight, they do so, it gets a larger reach, and it's sort of a vouched reach. People see that and see their friends sharing that. Also did that through the, when we had the Riverwalk. Well, elves at Christmas, this photo brought a lot of attention to that activation downtown.
Looks like a lovely group of people.
Doesn't it though?
Oh, I think they're fabulous.
And a recent one just from last week, highlighting the opening of the shipping season in Prescott. So when we have those good visuals, which we have so many of around town, those are drawing in some non-paid impact, and it's going out through those networks in a way that you're seeing it on your friend. People are seeing it on their friends' pages. They're seeing it because their friends are liking and commenting on it, and we get the impact through that. So I'm just going to go back. That was the last slide there. One of the things I did want to sort of touch on is that right now the BIA's Facebook page, the title on it, I believe is Downtown Prescott Business Improvement Area BIA, and the handle is Prescott BIA. I believe you should consider changing that to either Downtown Prescott or Riverwalk District, just to sort of make it a more consistent place-based enterprise. And then we can look at some other means as to sort of more that direct contact with the business and property owners downtown, and sort of this more.
I agree. The BIA does not need to be mentioned. Just Downtown Prescott businesses, or something very easy to relate with Prescott. Everything is Prescott. We should not have, like, Prescott should be the golden word here in everything we do, right? But I have a question. Why do we have only 16,000 followers?
I wouldn't say that's an only. I think that's a very strong.
Is it? Okay.
It's those are extremely impressive numbers. If you look to other comparable communities, we're certainly holding our own when it comes to other communities. And
I'm just looking at the post.
And again, I always caution, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. If you're going to look to Ottawa, no, we're not going to touch Ottawa. But you look at a comparable municipality where we perform well.
My thing is, moment I say Downtown Prescott, when I look at it, I'm not seeing anything fun to do. I'm seeing more news-like content. I'm not seeing anything fun to do. So if the post can be changed to more of something I can do in Prescott, I can go to this pub, I can do this, there is this actor, that should come out first. So that makes me interested. Even if I'm interested, so I'll save it for future or or I'll like it just because I like it. That can increase our visibility. Because when I look at it, it looks very business-like. There's nothing fun to do. You know what I mean?
So you'll also see that, Nitesh, because, we also have to base our content around the tourism season. So when we get into that May to September period, that's when you see the content of the post really change into more of that tourism marketing, fun things to see and do. And when it comes to, some of those shoulder seasons, our focus will be more business development, news, things happening, more local things that people can engage with, because that is our prime tourism season. So you'll see a lot of those. We've got some really great campaigns planned for this year. And that's where we also try to engage with the BIA and look to you for ideas for campaigns that we can actually start to launch this summer.
Yeah, why do we have hiring, like post hiring a BIA coordinator, hiring should not be here. Hiring should not be a part of this.
And I think that also speaks to what we're recommending to the board today is that we really transition, because that page primarily was set up for the benefit of members, and we can communicate with members through other channels, whether it be newsletters or, direct email, things of that nature. And that's what we're recommending to the group today, is that we transition that page into becoming more of a promotional tool for the downtown and change the naming and the branding behind that, so that it's truly, people want to come to the Riverwalk District. They don't want to come, they don't understand what we're trying to promote when it's under the umbrella of the BIA. Mm-hmm. So I think you're supporting exactly what we're recommending here tonight, Nitesh.
Perfect. Thank you.
If the rest of the board is open to this change.
Do you want to leave the word Riverwalk out or just downtown Prescott?
So that's what we've debated, is downtown Prescott or the Prescott Riverwalk District would be the two options. I will say, from a branding perspective, from the Todd signage that we have, that is branded as the Prescott Riverwalk District.
Yeah, I think we should stick to the branding.
I would try to kind of stick with that branding as much as possible. Yeah, I think that's where we would suggest always. I think you've got to keep the Riverwalk District in that. I think that's an important aspect to what we're trying to create here, right? That identity of the downtown separate from.
Yep.
Exactly. We've got to be comprehensive and cohesive with the other branding as well.
And just from an appeal, what appeals more to you? Downtown Prescott or the Prescott Riverwalk District?
I like that.
Yeah.
It just,
Prescott.
Yeah,
that sounds better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone against Prescott Riverwalk District?
Good choice. I'm not against.
Not against.
No, I was just gonna say, in the spirit of having everything look the same, I think that big sign coming off 401 at Irvin Drive and says downtown Prescott. The great big one?
It says downtown Prescott Riverwalk, doesn't it?
Does it say Riverwalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got the Riverwalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we were originally trying to put downtown Prescott Riverwalk District and we couldn't.
There were some, once you get to the, so it is weird, you lose character. So the full sign is on the 401 as the Riverwalk District. And then once you get to the ramp signage, they did have to reduce the characters. So you may see some of those ones as downtown. That's what you're seeing. Yeah. But the main brand on the 401 that draws people off the highway is the Prescott Riverwalk District.
Yeah. I like Prescott Riverwalk District.
I like it.
Do we need a motion to make that change?
I think, we would like to see it.
Okay, so we will make the recommendation is to modify the website.
So Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah.
From the current name to be more in alignment with the Riverwalk branding.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? May I have a mover? Kevin, Natalie, second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
For a second.
Thanks, everyone.
Just before you go on, I do have a question about the social media stuff. I was just wondering, do you have any evidence with the paid, how do I want to say that?
Versus organic.
Paid versus organic. Do you, like, obviously if you pay more, you're going to get more.
More impressions, yeah.
My question, I guess the question is, how much of this do we see outside of the area? Like, I don't know if Prescott advertises, say in Ottawa, say in Kingston.
And again,
like, do we?
It's very promotion specific, right? Like, for example, the promenade, our advertising radius would extend to those areas like Ottawa, northern United States, the east to west from Cornwall to Kingston. That would be more our boundary for those type of events. But when it comes to some of those other more local or business focused events, again, that radius kind of changes. And that is the beauty of Facebook, is you can really switch your targeting dependent to the event and the audience that we're trying to reach. So very dependent, I guess I would say at this point. You'll see a completely different audience targeted for, say, promenade than we would for a summer passport.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking in a sense of just generalities. Like, I mean, if you just want to advertise Prescott, plain and simple, would it not be ideal to put more money behind that, to advertise that more? I don't know what town does on its own.
From a BIA perspective?
Well, I don't know what town does on its own. Like, that's one thing I don't.
My understanding is that no money was spent in advertising as far as the BIA goes. Did I read that right from the last meeting? Like, no Facebook advertising, no digital media paid advertising was done as far as BIA goes, right? Is that correct?
Or not, that was actually costed to the BIA.
Okay.
It was done, but it was expensed through the Economic Development Department.
Okay.
There are a lot of additional budgetary things that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
One thing is to have a consistent media presence for Prescott as far as we can go. You know, we can make a geofence. Primary, the money market is Kingston may not be our target audience, but Ottawa is definitely our target audience, and surrounding neighborhoods, whatever. So maybe we can geofence and have a consistent Prescott message that costs probably $5 a day or something like that, you know, and you could run it for 30 days and then see how many clicks, engagements, how many people it reached. You get the statistics from Facebook. We do a lot of online campaigns through Facebook, and just $5 a day will get you 200,000 clicks.
I think that's a very valid comment, but again, I don't know that that's a conversation for the BIA. That's really specific to the town of Prescott and their budget.
Well,
I think it's a good conversation to have, and we do have our business partners, but in terms of what our agenda is and what our parameters are, I don't believe that our mandates are in alignment to recommending to the town of Prescott how they spend their advertising dollars.
No. I'm talking of us as the BIA spending some of the money the businesses give us to promote the business, the downtown business, the Riverwalk, Prescott businesses.
And we would defer to our business partners at the town of Prescott in terms of if they made that recommendation to us, we could take a look at it. But when we look at our specific mandates and where our budget dollars are allocated, as of today, I do not believe that we have an advertising line item. So perhaps that's something to look at in the future, but at this point in time, it's not in our budget and it's not in our mandate.
And that's where
a motion to add it.
Well, I think the issue there, Naitash, is it's the budget itself. The budget that the BIA has to work with does not warrant a lot of paid advertising. And that's where the town can come in economic development. Our budget is certainly more extensive than what the BIA is working with. So we provide that broader marketing to support what is happening in the BIA. That's not to say if the BIA wants to explore an advertising campaign, something within its budget line that you could do, maybe organic, something more Facebook focused. Absolutely. I think that's something, if you wanted to suggest that under new business at a future meeting, see if there's an appetite for the board to,
see what comes out of it.
But certainly, I would definitely, maybe bring that up and if the board thinks it's warranted. But I will warn, you're working with very limited dollars. So that's where we're trying to provide that support.
Kevin, you were saying?
I was just gonna say, I mean, the bugs in your ear, there's a marketing and promotions committee, which I'm assuming would deal with that. So
Yeah.
I don't know who in the room's on that committee. I forgot. But
Exactly.
if it comes up, then it comes up.
And it doesn't.
Certainly explore that, through that committee. And, then we can
That's all I
give
got.
you some insight into if there's a place that you want to look at advertising, we can do that research, right? And provide you with the costs and on what it would be to explore that.
That's it.
Okay.
Question ran away.
Parklet activations.
Yes, so I'm just gonna shift seats here. So we just wanted to take you through just a little overview of the parklets and what's happening there. So, and I went too far. Anyways.
She broke it. She broke it.
Oh, really? That's simple. Okay. I don't use Canva for my presentations.
Was it the big setback?
This is just to provide you with an update of what is happening in the Riverwalk district with the patios that we have mentioned a couple of times. So we have 3 patios coming into the downtown, 2 of which will be directly on King Street. They're actually going to take the place of 2 existing parking spots. So they're the exact dimensions of an on-street parking spot. So we've identified locations on both blocks, the Edward to Center Street block, and then the Center to George block. So we're gonna focus on those 2 blocks for this year, 1 street patio on each block. We've got 2 to 3 locations on both blocks that we're just doing like a final assessment on, just to, from logistics, just making sure that where it's, going to fit in the best spot. But we will have them on the street. And then the 3rd patio will be installed at the base of the clock tower. And that will be a larger patio. And we'll be using that patio more for entertainment and things that are happening. We'll probably relocate the Odd Farmers Market back to that site, really trying to get that site activated with acoustic performers, busker style performers, local talent as well. We're really trying to focus on opportunities to embrace and provide local talent with opportunities to perform and gain more of a fan base. So that'll be the focus for that patio. And for the actual street parklets, they're going to be more of kind of self-serve, just gathering space, patio option with some nice seating, some planters, possibly some shading. There's some examples of the parklets in another community that provides a really good example of what you would see for those on-street patios. So just really the intent is a placemaking strategy to try and encourage people to spend more time in the downtown when they are down here by having installations like that to provide people with a place to maybe rest and relax, maybe enjoy a beverage or a treat that they've picked up from one of our local restaurants and they don't necessarily want to dine in or can't dine in because not every restaurant in the downtown has that dine-in option. So they're also meant to provide people with a place, to consume products that they've bought in the downtown area. Maybe you've got some time to kill before your next hair appointment and this area happens to call your name. And so that's really what we're trying to focus on for those spaces, is to make the downtown a more vibrant, appealing, and attractive place where people want to spend more time. And they'll really be self-serve. So, we'll be maintaining them. The town operations department will ensure that they're cleaned and maintained and, a welcoming space for the public. And really just kind of, like I say, be a self-serve option. And then the larger patio at the clock tower, we would be activating with things that you see kind of pictured in some of the images from the promenade. whether it be a busker, a local performer. And ideally, what we're really trying to do is create connections. So we have the promenade on Edward Street, and the real intent of that promenade is to bring people into the downtown, into businesses to spend money and support the businesses and maybe consider living in the downtown at some point. Like, that's one of the other key pieces to this too, is just making it more appealing as a place not only to do business, but to live as well. So we're really hoping that what's happening there on Edward Street with the addition of the parklets in the downtown are going to really start creating these connections and encouraging people to go from the promenade up into the downtown, spend some time at one of those parklets, maybe take in the performance that's happening at the clock tower stage, then maybe carry on down to Katarina's, the beach, Centennial Park. And we're also supporting these with some new wayfinding signage that's going in this year as well. So I think, hand in hand, they're really going to go a long way towards those placemaking strategies that we talked about, and really trying to attract people to stay in the downtown when they do come. That's the biggest thing too, that it's not a lack of people coming, but whatever we can do to keep them down here and extend their stay and expose them to more businesses and opportunities while they're here. So that's really the focus for those, but they're meant to be, you're not going to see a whole lot of activation around that. It's just meant to provide a nice beautified area for pedestrians. So hopefully you're as excited about them as we are. And once you see them, you'll, if questioned about them, then, hopefully you can speak to that as members, give people some advice on how to use them. If there are questions, we'll have signage there, of course, for the public, just to let them know that they're free for public use, not there solely for the benefit of a restaurant, right? That happens to be adjacent, because that'll be the other thing too, is if they are in adjacent to a restaurant, that's great. They can be a benefit to that restaurant, but they're really meant to serve the entire community and all businesses in the downtown core.
So that's kind of, I guess, my question, or what I was wondering as you're presenting it. So the locations, they'll stay in that location for the season, I'm assuming. And will they be adjacent to the restaurants? Because I feel that would make sense. I realize that's an advantage to whichever restaurant gets it. I realize that perhaps it'd be difficult to delegate, but I love the idea of giving more spaces and reasons to hang out downtown. From just a personal take on it, I would be less likely if I wasn't going and supporting the business or something surrounding it. So it would be like an easy fit, as well as an additional attraction and a way to have a patio for a business, because otherwise you can't at this time on Main Street. So that's great. But just to sit and hang out in it, I'm not saying phooey. I'm just saying placement, I think, is critical. Key.
Yeah.
So depending on where they're placed, maybe if they could rotate a restaurant or something through the seasons. But yeah, I think placement, like where are they placed, I guess is my other question.
So that was the main focus that we looked at, is trying to get them in a place that they can serve 2 to 3 adjacent restaurants.
Okay, yeah.
So we are focused on the north side of the street between George and Center Street, kind of in the area of kind of like the Tim's Fish and Chips.
Okay.
More in that area. Subway has recently opened there. The Turkish restaurant is going to be converted to a restaurant as well. You've got Walkhouse just down a little bit there too. So there's kind of a collection of restaurants. So it's really just a matter of what specific spot, but that's really the area that we're focused there. And then on the next block, the Center to Edward Street, we're looking more in the area of the south side of the street, just kind of trying to alternate in the area of where the new apartment building has gone in, because we do have quite a few restaurants. You've got Prescott Sub Shop around the corner. You've got the new restaurants going in on the north side of the street between the Vault, Renegades, Outpost Cafe is there. So we were thinking that would kind of capture some of those restaurants that don't necessarily have a patio or dine-in options. But again, with the understanding that this is not the permanent location, it's very much a pilot project. You know, we could run into, it could be the worst possible, and we may need to even relocate mid-season. So we're certainly open to that going in, and I think that's a great suggestion too, is maybe even we look at that, you know, half season here, half season on the other side of the block, so that it is providing as much benefit to those adjacent businesses as possible. And we really ideally are hoping that this is the first of a few. I would love to see one on every block at some point. We would love to do the additional 2 blocks, Edward to East, and then St. Lawrence to George. So ideally, expanding that out at some point, and this would kind of be the first installation of that, and really want to see what type of public feedback we get too. Certainly, and we also have to be mindful of the fact that downtown parking is certainly a hot commodity, and we don't want to take out too many parking spaces to provide patios. That's also another factor that we've been considering, is the frequency of use of the parking spaces. Like, we've been looking a lot at the parking spaces, seeing what ones seem to get the most use, what ones seem to sit empty more throughout the day. That probably wouldn't create a huge issue for people, right? We certainly don't want to take, like, we would never put one down in front of TD, for example, or the Bank of Montreal, because it's a constant, you know, people need those parking spots to get to the businesses that they're adjacent to. So, but we'll always be looking for feedback too. And that's why this, you know, having this group in place is so critical to these projects, because you're the ears on the sidewalk. A lot of times the businesses hear feedback way before municipal staff do. So certainly would look to you to provide that to us.
When do they get installed and when do they get taken down?
May. So they'll go in May and they'll be up right until the end of September. Yeah.
Do you have the design?
That is the
actually have-
design of the street. That is exactly what they'll look like. That is a patio from the manufacturer. So this one at the clock tower base will look very similar to that, just larger. But those exact same designs, like that will be the look of the walls themselves. They'll have like a little wraparound kind of bench in there, and then we'll be adding additional seating, like portable seating, like whether it be bistro tables, Adirondack chairs. We're just still kind of debating options for the actual seat styles that we'll put in there.
Does town have the authority to put no smoking signs on these?
Oh, yes, they will have no smoking, no vaping signs on them. Yeah, they're not a place for, and bylaw will also be actively monitoring those throughout the summer. Like, they will be made aware that these are some of the enforcement concerns that we'll need their support on.
Thanks.
Yeah. We want them to be successful, and yeah.
I was just gonna say, I really like Dana's comments about the residential aspect of downtown, because I think we have to realize now that your downtown isn't just retail.
Yeah.
And especially when we're encouraging occupancies in the second and third floor of those older buildings downtown, that this would be a spot for those people living in the second and third floor to actually have a spot to come outside and sit.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I think it's important that we keep that vision in mind, that it's just not retail anymore. It's also residential.
Yeah, for sure.
That's another, good thing to hear, and the same as the location, the restaurants, because from my business standpoint, I'm sure you can all imagine, so I'm already hearing the parking phooey thing. So this is great though, because I need this to then be like, well, reminder residential, because that was not something I thought of right away. So a great, not defense, but like, just to support the positive side, like, and those are some good ideas that I wouldn't have necessarily quickly, came to. So that's another, good one. That's a good point. It's not, we want lots of shoppers, but it's not just the shoppers.
No.
So that's a good one.
And those new residents mean shoppers for
Yeah,
businesses,
exactly.
right? Like
Yeah,
it all
that's right.
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that's right. They play both roles.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're certainly pretty excited, and we'll have some fun branding on them as well. Like we're looking at some ways to incorporate some of our branding in there and use them as a bit of a, call to action to promote things to, even having QR codes to our websites there so that people looking for things to see and do while they're sitting on these patios can always be, reminding, keeping that top of mind with
So
people.
This might fall into the new business and then direct to the marketing committee, if I'm understanding how this goes. But just on that note, maybe businesses could market in those spaces in a nice, well-done, tactful.
Yeah, way that we could
Cohesive
consider
way.
maybe some sort of a business
Yeah, just
advertising
like a
thing.
little-
Yeah. Yeah. Even use them as part of our directional signage without being too, we don't want to plaster them with.
Yeah, nice
No.
done.
Yeah.
Are they gonna have planters like that?
Yes. Yeah. No, so we're gonna have them nice planters, greenery going in. So that, they're a nice inviting space,
There
right?
you go with the planter thing with the Horticultural Society and businesses sponsoring a planter.
For the parklets. Yeah.
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 There's your advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Anyway, sorry, that was just kind of one.
Yeah. That's a
My
great
mind just
idea.
went off.
Planter sponsored by, so I've
I
seen
just
that done in many
advertising.
communities. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it would be very close to your location. Yeah, where we're looking.
Actually, I think over the years, a lot of businesses said they would participate. We just never got there to do it. Anyways, sorry. You
Justin,
made me
I
go off on a
miss-
tangent.
Any aspects that you wanted to touch on?
I think so.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's it from us on that piece.
Okay, on to public art opportunities.
All right, so the last agenda item here tonight, public art opportunities. So some of the carryover members might remember we previously discussed the iHeart Main Street program. I think this is the second or third year perhaps that it's operated. It's run by something called the STEPS Public Art Program, which has a variety of government and corporate sponsorship partners. And it's really focused on public art installations and encouraging public art installations, especially in downtown areas. The iHeart Main Street program is one that I believe stems out of COVID recovery and trying to reactivate traditional downtown spaces. So what the iHeart Main Street program does primarily is provide BIAs with a sort of capacity building exercise to brainstorm, plan, and execute these public art installations. They can also provide up to $1,000 if you use someone from their artist list for the actual artist fees. And through the program, they also do some promotion of the installations as on like a broad province-wide scale. And you are also become entered into contests about the activations surrounding these public art installations. So when they're talking public art installations, it can be a broad range of things. People have done sort of more artistic pole wraps previously. They've done more sculpture type activations, and a lot of places have done mural or fence mounts. And the BIA, the group, the community will be engaged as to what would best, fit with the community there. The artist and STEPS would work with the group to come up with some ideas, some potential designs, and then the artist would finish the artwork, and it would be left in the community to enjoy going forward. So their deadline for applications for iHeart Main Street is April 30th, but they encourage people to have them in as soon as possible. It's similar to the strategic planning in that if it's something you want to go ahead with, one of the requirements is taking part in the 2 planning workshops with the people from STEPS Public Art. So we'd have to have some board members that would commit to sitting down and then ideally taking part in a sort of collaborative effort to help design this project. And there would be a minimum commitment of $2,000, which covers the artist fees as well as the physical cost of the installation, but that would vary based on what is decided upon. If it's something that the BIA wanted to go ahead with, it's something that economic development could look at splitting the costs on as well for the installation. But at this stage, it would be sort of, is that something that you're interested in? Are there people that would like to commit to that process? And is this something that we want to spin an application for to perhaps look at having something in this summer? One location that Dina and I have talked about is sort of along the side of the promenade, that concrete wall. And it would be interesting to have some sort of mural work done there, perhaps going in on one of the weekends of the promenade so people could watch the art taking place and maybe have some other art-based activations in there, a gallery show or something. So that could be an interesting sort of fun event tie-in there. But I do know that Brockville they utilized the funding, I believe, last summer or the summer before to do their murals, but they are attached to their fence coverings down on King Street, I think down towards the west end, the south side of the street. Mm-hmm. So they've utilized this funding before with an external artist to come in and put this work together.
It kind of borders like a vacant, underutilized property that's kind of just an eyesore, right? And it just provides a bit of a screening for that. So we thought, again, with that wall there, using that as the promenade site, we're really trying to beautify that space as much as possible. And yeah, it would provide a great landscape for a mural.
So something like this ideally would be a first step to either the BIA or private business owners looking at things like murals on some of those spaces that we've identified before down through there, the alleyways, the Instagrammable nooks we talked about last year.
Even the interactive one that I think Tracy had brought up at one point that they did in Newfoundland. It was this cool thing where it was just a question, before I die, I want to, and then people would just go and write crazy ideas, but we could have one specific for Prescott. You know, if I could do anything in Prescott, it would be, or, you know, just that kind of interactive ways to fill out those blank walls, spaces, ugly, for lack of a better word, spaces, right? That could be, you know, turn them into a real beautification thing.
I really like the idea that there's participation in planning workshops so that and it ties into the strategic planning that we're doing, I think, because it gives us tools to be able to, when we want to look at other projects potentially, we're going to have that strategic plan in place. And I would assume that they're probably going to have some marketing ideas or sponsorship ideas. I love the idea that you're collaboratively working with the artists. So I love the idea. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea.
I like the idea, but what is the deal with the artists? If I had my choice, I would prefer to have a local artist.
So we talked about that a lot, and you can go both routes. We were thinking for this one, you may want to consider working with a professional artist. I think there'll be some really, not to say that you're not going to get some really unique designs from a local artist, but I think having something, you know, a little bit more elevated, for lack of a better word, is really going to serve as inspiration too. And I think we have a lot of great examples of local artists involved curated projects. And I think really just bringing, you know, it also, I think, could set us up for more exposure too. Like if we're working with someone who's a recognized professional artist, their networks and things come into play there too. So, you know, personally, we would suggest going that route for this one. Maybe even the first installation, work with a professional artist. It's a very collaborative project, so it's not like you're going to be sitting there having a design downloaded on you. It's working with the artist to come up with an idea that fits with the community. You know, certainly that's not to say that you couldn't go the other route, but from an implementation standpoint, we are also, it would be a lot easier to implement by going that route, right? Because if we go the local, now we have to go out and put a proposal out there and commission a local artist. And that adds a whole lot of time to this that we don't necessarily, we have a lot of projects on the go. So we're trying to come up with ideas that can also be fairly quickly implemented and not be a huge, require a huge investment of time too.
I think ideally as well that leaning on their capacity to do this,
Yes.
execute it, it will also provide other opportunities for those local artists when hopefully other people see this and say,
Yeah.
wow, we'd like to do something like that there. And that's also something that in the future, depending on, you know, the success of something like this, BIA could also look at, you know, self-funding some of those.
A local artist project,
going
yeah.
through there. One of the others that Dana said, just sort of one of the benefits of this is that broader marketing that they're doing through it, through the STEPS program, through their Instagram following is substantially larger than ours and sort of a broader audience there, and having sort of even just having an artist that we wouldn't traditionally see here can be an added attraction for doing something like this. And, you know, I do think that, you know, a successful execution of something like this would just lead to more opportunities for those local artists in the long run.
We really saw it as being something that would inspire the local artists and groups to, hey, then let's do something here and really hopefully kind of create that momentum, right? Where people are coming out of the woodwork wanting to do something on this wall or this building or this building. And it just starts that momentum, right?
No shortage of those spaces. We just need to build that.
To start with one, yeah.
They want to get in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi. So.
Just throw something at me, Tracy.
It's a minimum commitment, so when we're thinking about drafting a motion, should we consider a top end as well?
Yeah, like I think what we would propose is a shared cost, so probably $1,000 allocation is what the BIA should probably be considering.
Yeah, in the event though that the project may, you know, cost more, like should we say?
A maximum upset, like a maximum.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at, yeah.
And then I think the town would be comfortable for a certain covering any sort of upset cost up to a certain, you know, reasonable amount.
Yeah, I think they set basically the parameters that very few projects go above $3,000 for individual installations, so I don't think there'd be an extreme case in there.
Mm-hmm. So we could be prepared to fund up to 2/3. And then look to the BIA to fund the final third up to a maximum of 1,000. Or even if you wanted to look at a lower allocation too, that's not to say that if BIA wanted to maybe come out with a $500, then it's still something that we would pursue through economic development. I think I could find $1,500 to $2,000 in my budget to cover that. But I think, you know, just having us go into that as a partnership is more that critical piece. I don't even think it's necessarily about that dollar amount. If you wanted to look at something a little bit lower than It's just having that support, I think.
They want to know that they're, yeah.
You've got the buy-in.
Organization's in support
Yeah.
and that the capacity is there to follow through.
So at this point in time, we don't have to make a definitive dollar amount. We can table.
I think we would like, yeah, I
Okay.
would just, but don't feel that you have to do 1,000. If you were more comfortable as a board with 500, I think that would be a sufficient allocation for us to be able to run with and support the other financial piece.
Now, do we have quorum since Johanna's left?
Yes.
Yes, you still have quorum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what number are we thinking? Well, first of all, is everyone interested in this?
I think it's a great idea. The planning workshops, do we have any idea? Is that like an online thing? Is that an in-person? Is it a full day? And
I believe it's going to be an online thing. It says up to 5 hours of training in other spaces. So I'm assuming that the 2 workshops would be no more than 2.5 each. And the way I understand it, like because there's only a limited number that are selected, so it's very much a one-on-one virtual thing. So it would be, if we were selected, it would be scheduled around to a degree, I'm sure.
Okay, so it'd be
Availability.
flexible.
Yeah.
Okay, because I would love to be part of it. I just want to be careful what I commit myself to. I want to be able to fulfill my commitment. But I think it's great. That's right up my alley on the artistic side of things. And I think it goes right in place with the placemaking we're talking about and kind of what we're moving forward with. So I would be one of the 2 people. Or how many people do we have to have? Yeah, 2. Or no, participate in 2. Yeah, do we have a minimum of
So
BIA
I think
members?
it's just a commitment from the organization.
Oh, as a whole.
So there would just have to be a group, let's say. I don't think they set a minimum number on the number of board members to take part.
Okay, as long as somebody sits in on those workshops and reports back sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I'm not a huge numbers person, to be honest, but I feel like coming in halfway is, well, I'm not even fully halfway, I guess. Potentially it might be around the 3,000 point, but I think that we, from the extra we have left over from what we went over before, I feel like we're in a pretty good position to take on a few new things. And I think the artistic project would be a great one. So that's my input on that.
And not having experience with events like this, a launch like this, what type of a number would that look like?
Budget-wise?
Budget-wise?
For,
Like 250, is that
like,
reasonable?
$250 to $500 for an actual launch related, and then we would be required to provide ongoing activation support. But that would be provided through, like a lot of that would be an in-kind, right? There's a lot of in-kind that goes into that, certainly, so.
So if we did say 1,400, is that?
I would, even just 1,000,
What do you guys-
I think I wouldn't request any more than that. And if there's some activation expenses, the town would cover those.
Okay, so are we comfortable with proceeding with 1,000? Okay, should we table a motion? So
I have a question. This $1,000, is it in the budget or is it something new we are inserting?
So that would come from the budget, Nitesh,
yeah,
We have a line item.
the marketing.
Okay, so it is a line, I'm just asking because let's say we want to spend on online social media advertising. Let's say we wanted to put $1,000 to that. I was told we can't do that, but we are able to do this. So what's the difference? I'm trying to understand.
this is beautification, which is directly aligned with our mandate. We are creating placement,
Okay, so
we
this
are
is a mandate.
placemaking and it's beautification, which is in direct alignment.
This is a mandate that
So-
we've inherited.
And Nitesh, I think a little clarification needs to be, no one is saying that you can't allocate funding to marketing. It's that to bring that idea forward should come through under new business. And then if it's something the board is interested in, then it would go to the marketing committee for discussion. So that's not saying that idea can't come forward, but because of the format that we're here, we've provided the research and we've got a report here in front of the board tonight for you to decide on for the marketing thing. That's how that would take shape. So
Okay,
you
okay,
provide a
okay.
recommendation under new business for marketing allocation. The marketing committee discusses it. We bring a report forth like we're doing tonight with the iHeart program, and then we decide on it.
Okay.
So they're totally approving this doesn't mean that your initiative can't be considered by the board.
No, I'm just asking how funds are allocated. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand because we are doing something. I presume we've never done this before, but we've understood that it can be of great benefit if we do it. And that is why you're bringing it up. Am I right?
Exactly, yeah. And we may do the same thing with social media marketing. It would just be a subsequent thing. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
So we are going to bring a motion to partner with the town of Prescott in the STEPS program to a maximum allocation of $1,000 in support of the process to enable an art, apply for the iHeart Main Street program. Okay. May I have a mover? Natalie, and a seconder? Kevin?
You go back and watch the video. You go back and watch the video. You get it all right.
For the, oh, yeah. Oh, I depend on Justin for that. I just thought I better at least make an effort over here.
Okay.
Did we get an all in favor?
All in favor? Okay. Okay. So to committee roundtable, just as we have been here for quite some time, I would like to see if everyone's open to, as opposed to starting that new business from members conversation. If you can email me your recommendations, that way we can actually get them out to committees even faster. Just in terms of, I know I personally have to get home. My son's been there alone for a long time. So is that a problem with anyone?
Just to expedite, yeah. Maybe
Just to
everyone
expedite? Yeah,
email
just
their
email
new
me.
business. If anyone had new business, email it to Belinda following the meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just as a reminder, our upcoming committee meetings, April 18th is the Marketing and Promotions Committee, and the Placemaking Committee is April 25th.
And they'll be at the museum.
That'll be at the museum.
For the
Both of them?
marketing promotion?
Marketing and Promotion, April 18th.
And
At what time? 5:30?
5:30.
5:30.
That is a week today.
I'll be there.
Or no, not today, right? Yes. Easter has thrown me off. I have no idea what day it is. Yes.
Okay, may I have a mover for adjournment?
Oh, look at that.
Natalie and Kevin, all in favor? Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
And
Have a great
please
evening.
don't think every meeting's gonna be this long. There was a lot tonight. We'll try, yeah.
I didn't move her
Yeah, that was long.
because
It was, yes. We got
I'm
a lot though.
okay.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we just clarified it tonight because
I know. We usually start at.
that's why I didn't make any more seconds, but yeah. You're one person, so I'm her alternate. If she can't be here.